Hello and welcome to 1 Hour SaaS. My name is Mubashir Iqbal. Everybody calls me Mubs. I'm building a SaaS business in just 1 hour a day. And this is update for hour number 39 of building podcast ping, uptime monitoring built for podcasters. Today I carried on having some conversations with a few folks just to kind of make sure, just to see what the good ways is to build out podcast ping and attract some users and customers and things like that. I had a great call with Louis Nicholls, who has a podcast, has a course for founders to help them do sales. Is also part of the team running Sparkloop. So lots of experience in the space, and what we ended up talking about a little bit was just this idea about growing podcast ping, and as we discussed, there's a finite market for it in terms of, yes, it's for podcasters obviously specifically, but then you actually have to find podcasts who actually care about their podcast website being up and their RSS feed being up. And that typically means that you got to find people who are making money from their podcast through sponsorships or advertising or whatever. And so he was saying, well, look, if you want to get people on board when they're still small and don't really care, and just kind of have them be users now, then you kind of have to switch to a freemium model at that point. So you want to get people signed up using the system, and then once they get to a certain size, they'll be like, oh, I want to be able to either do more podcasts or access more features, and then that way they're a customer and you upsell them to a paid plan at some point. And it's a real good point. I mean, I think the sort of cost center for podcasting is pretty low, right? Like I need like one server, maybe two, depending on how much I want to scale the DB, but it's less than $100, right? Like it's less than $100 a month. I could have a pretty robust system to kind of scale this out to support a lot more users who aren't paying. But I think it's also a fundamental question about what kind of company you want to build, right? Like, so do you want to support a large number of free users who aren't paying you, or do you want to like focus on the sort of handful of customers who will be paying you something every month? And I think it's an important question that a lot of founders have to struggle with, because they want to show that we've got lots of users, we're adding users month over month, even if they're not paying, you're getting users in the system that you have the potential to upsell, versus just seeing zero growth sometimes. But you just keep the users that you have, but you keep your support costs in kind of a manageable state. You also keep your server and hosting and infrastructure cost much lower if you're not having to support a large number of users. So I think this is something I need to think about a little bit more in terms of what kind of company do I want, what kind of SaaS business do I want here. I could very easily make this a free tool, for a lot of people, and still have some kind of upper tier where we could kind of charge end users, also charge podcasters, but we could have a very generous free tier, and we could I think it'd be very easy to sign up a lot of people, just because there's a lot of podcasters who do this thing kind of on a whim. They're just having some fun. They don't want to spend money on something like this, but it would be a kind of an instant, oh, I can get told if my podcast is offline. Yeah, I'll sign up for that if it doesn't cost me anything. But then, like I said, it changes the kind of business and the kind of infrastructure and the kind of operation that kind of podcast ping would be. If it's a side business, if it's a something you're doing in weekends and evenings primarily, then trying to support that kind of business becomes much harder, versus having a smaller number of customers growing much slower, but essentially with one or two customers you could be profitable kind of right out the door. So yeah, that's something I need to think about. I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comments, I'll probably post this on Indie Hackers and all that kind of fun stuff too. So if you want to respond on there, that's fantastic too. There's that push and pull between freemium and just like not having a free tier at all. So I'm going to spend some time thinking about that as well. So that was about half of my time today, and the other half of the time I just kind of been focusing on I took part in another thread on Indie Hackers about how would you grow this. Let me pull that up because I thought that was a pretty good post today. Let me see if I can find it. Just did different ideas for growing people's side projects and stuff. I don't see. Let's see the thread. Let me see if I can find it real quick. So there was just some suggestions about, alternative ways to kind of grow your business or your SaaS in this particular case. Here it is. And I'll switch to a screen where you can see all this, a scene rather, inside of OBS. So this is the post, and I'll link this in the show notes, in the episode notes, show notes, whatever. It's just where people give feedback about ways that you could grow your company or your SaaS business, and so I posted in here as well. So that was a good thread to participate in. I think there's lots of other opportunities. If I did not want to do the free tier in terms of ways to kind of more slowly do more outreach, more do the things that don't scale. It is going to be, I think it could be very easy to get email addresses for podcasters because a lot of them have it in their RSS feed. I would imagine it's going to be, a low response rate, but it doesn't take, as I said, it doesn't take a lot of people to sign up and to pay for the service for it to become profitable. So that's definitely the sort of other option. It's just to kind of stick with the slow, steady growth. And since I'm limited to kind of like the 1 hour a day, do I want a service that's just got a huge number of free users on it versus a handful of paying customers that I can really spend my time to really support well, as opposed to being stretched really thin. So I'm going to spend some time thinking about that, and then probably tomorrow I'll kind of share my thoughts in terms of where I'm headed and kind of what the plan is. So that's it for today. Lots of talking and thinking and revisiting, and then I think in the sort of rest of the time I had, I spent a little bit of time just working on the blog content and kind of thinking about that. So keeping things moving along, and talk to you tomorrow.